My Gregalogue must begin now. The two big issues for both parties, immigration and terror. Here's how one issue might solve the other. Those behind terror are reproducing like crazy. They pump out killers like they're Doritos. Meanwhile, Westerners wear condoms. As the enemy grows, we shrink. Numbers dictate success. However, we have a secret weapon, Mexicans. They're hard workers and very Catholic, which means they reproduce and are good neighbors. They also love Chevys and think Morrissey is Elvis. Mexicans are the Eisenhower generation. We've got two kinds of people making more people. One fosters fanatics who want to blow up our towers. The other wants to build them. I know who I'm with, Mexicans. They may be one hope against an enemy, encouraging our own extinction. Mexicans are the mace against madmen because they multiply. As we embrace cats over kids, Mexicans might prevent us from becoming Europe, a declining continent flooded by people who hate them. Mexican families love this country. I don't like Mexico. I get diarrhea. But I love Mexicans. I welcome you with open arms and legs. You've got to give them credit. Mexicans risk their lives to get here, and they're grateful to be here. So embrace the new war, the new front on the war on terror. He may be your waiter, and he may be 5'2", but he's tough. And if you really want to strike a blow against Al-Qaeda, tip him 25%. And that's my gut feeling.
You're a twisted little man.
No! You take one problem, and you solve it with another problem. I learned that in therapy. Well, anyway. O'Hare, more like oh hell. In an undercover investigation at O'Hare Airport, two investigators have learned there are almost 4,000 employee access badges missing. Those badges, as you can guess, allow anyone to enter the airport through a back gate. It also allows them to read Playboy in any Hudson newsstand without paying. Not fair. The gist, having that badge means they are not searched entering and exiting the airport. So where are those badges? The staffers at the airport are refusing to interview with the CBS affiliate about their latest findings. Does this frighten you, Professor, as much as it frightens me?
Oh, I might not be as frightened as you are, but I'm pretty scared, Greg, I'll tell you. Anytime you move away from 9/11, people are going to get more and more lax unless the government intervenes. And I know some of you guys hate government intervention, but unless the government or some other body finds these airline companies and these airports for being this irresponsible, and I'm not talking about a $47,000 fine like they got. I mean like a real hefty fine that they can't afford to pay. Then we'll continue to have these slippages, and we're going to have another big accident on our hands, and it's going to be our own fault.
Rodney, the thing is, I always get nervous whenever I see security at airports because they just don't look good. And now you know that they're losing their badges. I mean, who are these people?
I mean, that's absurd, man. And this is going to be backlash, especially for me, because every time I go to the airport now, I got to worry about badges, I got to worry about cavity searches, and that's not the worst of it, man. What about when you get up in the plane? That's where the real danger is, because I'm telling you, you don't know danger until you have to make an emergency landing.
That's true.
That's what happened to me.
Really?
Yeah, I was flying, man, and let me tell you something. I like the pilot. I like the pilot to come on and just tell me everything is cool. I got y'all. My pilot comes on and he's like, does anybody smell smoke? That's the last thing you want to hear come from a pilot, man.
Like this topic. It was 40 summers ago. It was known as the Summer of Love. Back then, you couldn't swing a cat without hitting someone having sex, sometimes with a cat. Lots of baby boomers will tell you that the event changed everything, especially sex. But is free love really free? With the rising prevalence of STDs and abortion, and I haven't even mentioned Lenny Kravitz. No 1960s, no Lenny Kravitz. Isn't that era the most overrated period in history, Rodney?
Yes, it is. But let me tell you something about free love. I don't want it. I don't want free love. I want to pay at least $50.
Can I have yours?
Maybe $75 at the most.
Professor,
we should talk after the show.
You take a check?
No. PayPal only, please.
PayPal. You're on PayPal.
I'm actually not on PayPal. I'm the only person actually not on PayPal. I do my whoring in cash.
That's good to know. Professor Hill, isn't the problem with the 1960s Summer of Love because it divorced excess from achievement? People didn't have to work for sex.
Yeah, I mean, well, you always have to work for sex, right? I mean, there's no such thing as free sex for men anyway.
That's true.
You know, but I think the problem is that the 1960s are overstated. So a lot of the things that happened in the 1960s weren't unprecedented. The 1950s, which are sort of seen as the dull moment, there were spikes in sex then. There were STDs and STIs running around then. Even back to World War I and before that, people were doing this stuff. And I think sometimes we paint the 1960s in this really special way when, in fact, many of the things that were happening weren't new at all.
What do you think, Dominica? Are you for or against sexual liberation? I think it's highly overrated.
You would.
I really want to know how she answers this question.
I'm for, you know.
Yeah, stuff.
For stuff.
Yeah,
I'm for stuff.
You're for
I'm so for you being for stuff.
Are you?
Yes. Does sporting ink make people think you stink? Meaning, do you look at people with tattoos differently, especially those that have multiple tattoos? One Florida man says in the past 2 months he's applied for over 100 jobs, and almost half of them says he was denied because of his tattoos. He says that's discrimination. So is it, or should he be held responsible for his own grotesque appearance? Let me go to you, Anna. I believe you have tattoos, or you once had tattoos.
Well, I'm a good person to ask because I had tattoos here and here, and I know I judged myself, and I had them taken off. I had them taken off literally 6 months after I had them put on, and I was too embarrassed to tell people that I actually had just gotten them put on. So I was like, yeah, no, I got them when I was a kid, when I was 15.
What were the tattoos of?
It's so embarrassing. One said courage. Okay. One was my sign, Gemini.
Oh my God.
I know, it's embarrassing, but I was a lunatic. I was a nightmare, and I did things like that. I think, look, someone with tattoos is more likely to hire you if you have tattoos, but get them in secret places. I didn't do that right.
Yeah, you didn't. You didn't.
I got a tattoo.
Where's your tattoo, Rodney?
It's a tattoo of a black man, and it's all over my body. I haven't had any problems.
And do you find that you get discriminated against because of it?
Yes, I do.
Have you ever thought about having it removed?
Never. There are some benefits.
It's mail time. The address is redeye@foxnews.com. Send me something to read. I shall read it. Chris Wilson from Portland, Oregon leads things off. There's serious news, there's comic news, and now there's Red Eye. It's a refreshing mix of the two. How does one become a guest on your show? I won't bite unless you ask me to. The funny thing is, Chris, if you do bite, then you're on the show. Also, you must wear a leopard skin thong. Justin Shaw from Colorado Springs, Colorado writes, my friend Dan says he hates your show. Could you please ridicule him and possibly send somebody in a unicorn costume to torture him? Dustin, why don't we just send him a real unicorn? Why does it have to be someone in a costume? What a jerk. That's stealing jobs from real unicorns. Weird. Such a weirdo. Marty Pisano from Stanhope, New Jersey writes, after giving you the benefit of the doubt for several months, it's now time to say enough is enough. Watching your show is like being punished. Look, Olbermann, if you're going to write in, just use your real name. Kevin Roberg from Matomidi, Minnesota writes, it's unbelievable how much better your show is with chemical influence. Your show goes from bad to amazing. I love it. Yes, Kevin, and you should imagine what it's like for the viewer. Jesus. Dustin Miller from Mesa, Arizona writes, I tried getting my family to watch, but after 5 minutes, they told me I was crazy. Dustin, that was because at the time you were completely naked, except for a hat made of cheese. Finally, Preston Rose from New Orleans writes, just curious, is Andy Levy available for birthday parties? Yes, but be aware he makes demands. He will request 3 dozen white roses in his dressing room and a box of fresh brine shrimp on ice. But it'll be worth it because he makes excellent balloon animals. Mostly of snakes, though. Interesting. Of snakes, because he can't twist them.